Yo, dig this. Tortuga, right? Everybody knows what that is. A straight-up pirate haven, no rules, no cops. The absolute crown jewel of the Caribbean underworld. It was a hangout for the baddest dudes, a spot where anyone flying the black flag could roll in and cook up some shady business. It all comes down to this one low-key engineer, François Le Vasseur, who just straight up told everyone to kick rocks. But hold your horses, gotta start from the jump. So Columbus and his crew stumbled upon Tortuga way back in '99. Legend goes, the dude saw the shape and was all like, whoa, a spot for the turtle that holds up the world. Sketchy story though. First off, the island was so small and whack, they didn't even bother putting it on the map. Second, try eyeballing an island's shape from a boat. Ain't happening. More likely it went down like this. Yo, what's that island over there? Some little ass island with turtles. Aight, Turtle Island it is. Let's bounce. After that, Tortuga was kinda like a party spot for all the misfits. Buccaneers, fishermen, just straight up outcasts from the other islands. Wild Caribbean days, the OGs remember. That went on until around 1640. Then, boom, 1640 hits, and on the French island of St. Kitts, things were getting hella tense with the Catholics and Huguenots beefing big time. So the governor, this dude Defiance, tells this talented Huguenot engineer, François Le Vasseur, to gather up all the homies who believed the same thing and go storm this little island next to Hispaniola. The payoff? Governor job, mad respect, and all the backup he could want. François, even though it sounded like a suicide mission, was down because he was sick of looking at those Catholic mugs. Le Vasseur rolls up to Hispaniola, grabs another 50 or so buccaneers, and pulls off this crazy move, kicking the English off Tortuga. It was so smooth, even Cardinal Richelieu, way over in France, was like, "Attaboy," and promised to hook up the new governor with cash and supplies. So, what's the first thing a military engineer does when he becomes governor of an island? Build a fortress that's straight up untouchable. Duh! France was pumping money into beefing up Tortuga, and Le Vasseur was feeding the Cardinal a line about how Tortuga was gonna be this impenetrable stronghold right under the Spanish nose, and he wasn't even lying that much. He built this legendary fort, La Roche, on top of a cliff. You could only get in with a drop-down ladder. And he topped it off with his crib called the Pigeon Loft. In 1643, the Spanish rolled up to check out the defenses and were seriously impressed. 600 of their guys landed, but they couldn't even get close to the fort thanks to the artillery fire and had to tuck tail and run. Basically, that's what Richelieu wanted when he put Le Vasseur in charge of Tortuga. Except for one little detail. As soon as the governor got his island looking tight, he stopped paying taxes and taking orders. That really talked off his backers, and they tried sweet-talking him into letting them send more troops to fortify the island. But our boy was all like, "Nah, I'm good with my cannons, guns, and ammo. Don't need your help." Then Defiance tried to lure him over to St. Kitts, like, "Hey, congrats on beating the Spanish." But François wasn't falling for it and, laughing his butt off in his pigeon loft, said he couldn't leave the island unguarded cause the Spanish might come back. And check it, my cannons are already loaded with grape shot. Next thing you know, he's handing out his own letters of marque to raid the Spanish and set up a fence operation on the island. And since Tortuga was right next to two big Spanish islands, Cuba and Hispaniola, it was like opening a gun shop and pawn shop across the street from a jewelry store in Minneapolis. Pirates would stock up on supplies there, go on raids, then sell their loot and blow the cash right there on the spot. That's how Tortuga got rich and became the pirate central. Every lucky dog from the Caribbean was heading there. Everyone was welcome except for Catholics. Yep, our boy didn't forget how his story started and got some serious payback on his old enemies, throwing Catholics in the slammer, torturing them, then straight up kicking out the priest and burning down the church, turning Tortuga into a Protestant stronghold. Though he ended up kicking out the Protestant priest too, so there was no one left to preach on the pirate base. Not that it mattered anyway. Officially, Tortuga was still a French island, and, for the most part, it did its job. It was a pit stop for raids on Spanish colonies. But Le Vasseur's disrespect for his bosses and his crazy wealth meant they couldn't just leave him alone. The last straw was when Philippe de Poissy found out that one of Le Vasseur's many trophies was a silver statue of the Virgin Mary. Philippe wrote him a letter asking for it, saying, "Come on, you're Protestant. What do you need a Catholic relic for? You don't even have a chapel." Le Vasseur sends him back a package and explains in a letter that real Catholics care about the spiritual value, but him, being a heretic, can dig the shiny metal, so he's keeping the silver and sending de Poissy a wooden copy. That's when Philippe de Poissy totally lost it. He flipped his lid and in 1652 hired this Maltese knight, de Fontenay, to take out the annoying upstart governor. The knight agreed, but while he was getting his troops together, preparing his ships and just generally psyching himself up, Le Vasseur was already killed in a drunken brawl by his own lieutenants. That's how the story of the dude who turned a tiny island into a Caribbean legend ends, quick and anticlimactic. After Le Vasseur bit the dust, Tortuga stayed a pirate hideout for a long time. They'd launch attacks on the Spanish Silver Fleet from there, hold hostages for ransom, and all the big-time raids were planned on Tortuga. All because one regular dude didn't back down and followed his gut. And his gut told him to encourage piracy, get rich off the loot, mess with Catholics, and basically run his own island however he damn well pleased, without listening to anyone. So next time you're sipping on some rum, raise a glass to the legendary François Le Vasseur, the guy who gave us Tortuga. Yo ho ho!